Have you ever felt off, like your energy's gone, your mood's unpredictable, and your body just isn't responding the way it used to? I've been there. What started as a stomach bug turned into a full-blown health crisis that changed everything I thought I knew about wellness. Today, I'm sharing what happened and what every woman needs to know about gut health. Hi friends, it's Natalie. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to dig into a topic that has completely reshaped the way I think about wellness, health, and everyday energy levels. It's all about gut health. And it's a personal story today. If you've been feeling off lately, even in ways you can't quite put your finger on, I think this episode is going to speak right to you. And before we get started, I will tell you, I'm not a doctor, but after more than 30 years as a health journalist, I've spoken with countless doctors, researchers, and wellness experts. What I'll share today is based on my own experience dealing with gut issues, combined with everything I've learned from those discussions. And don't forget to visit my website for in-depth insights on a variety of health topics. You'll also find several free resources designed to help you get back on track and give you the boost that you need. So let me start by asking you, have you ever felt exhausted, moody, or like your digestion is a constant mystery? That was me. For months, I felt off without knowing why, but like many of us, I just ignored it, went on with my day, and dealt with it. Well, then came my big wake-up call on my daughter's birthday, which, by the way, it's a really big deal, her birthday. I had the whole day planned out perfectly because she's the one who's always doing special things for everyone else. And this was the year that I was going to really surprise her. I had a scavenger hunt planned out around town, little treats along the way, lots of surprises. We were so excited. I even had little notes planned out. So everywhere she went, she had to guess what was happening next. It was very much in the spirit of what she would do for other people. But before we even got started, the pain hit me like a truck. I couldn't even stand up. And instead of celebrating my daughter that day, my daughter had to drive me to the emergency room. I almost get teary when I think about all of this because it was such a difficult moment for me to not be able to surprise her in the way that I wanted to. So what I thought was just stress, compose myself here, or a stomach bug, it turned out to be gastroenteritis. It's an inflammatory condition that had spread through my entire digestive system. It was terrifying. It was extremely painful, and it was confusing. I had nothing other than a diagnosis, no explanation. The doctors, even after I left the hospital, couldn't say why I had all of this inflammation. And as terrible and painful as it was also the moment that I knew I couldn't keep pushing through and ignoring my body. So today, what I really want to emphasize and what I want to talk about is why gut health matters so much for everyone, but we're going to talk specifically about women. Once I started healing, I did a deep dive into gut health, and I had heard about it. I had interviewed people, but again, this is when it really started to impact me. This is what I found, and this is what I hope for you can be a wake-up call because it's really for all of us. Let's start with 4 things every woman must know about the role of gut health in overall well-being. First of all, the gut-brain connection. Did you know that 90% of serotonin, what is serotonin? It's that feel-good chemical in our bodies. 90% of it is produced in our gut. If your gut's inflamed, like mine was, and like it is for many of us, not just a hospitalization, but if your gut is inflamed, your mood might be too. That means anxiety, brain fog, even depression can often be traced back to the gut. I bet you haven't heard that. Maybe you have, but that's why the gut is often called your second brain. Next, hormonal health. Your gut doesn't just digest food. It regulates estrogen through something called the estrobolome. If your gut is imbalanced, you could feel the effects in worsened PMS, irregular cycles, or menopause symptoms. Then there's immunity in the gut. About 70 to 80% of your immune system, believe it or not, lives in your gut. Chronic colds, autoimmune flares, fatigue. This could be signs of a gut imbalance. And next, inflammation and chronic conditions. Maybe it's joint pain, Eczema, yes, your skin. Chronic bloating or inflammation often begins in your gut and spreads through your body over time. It's incredible to think how many wellness challenges actually start with the state of your microbiome in your gut. So let's talk about recognizing early signs of gut imbalance. And here's something I didn't realize before my health crash. Gut issues don't always show up as dramatic symptoms right away. Often they start out as just little whispers your body's trying to send you. Things like bloating after you eat, food sensitivities, skin flare-ups, eczema, like I mentioned, constant fatigue, you're just tired and you don't know why, anxiety or low mood, irregular digestion. I ignored these signs for months. I brushed them off as normal. Everybody deals with this. But they were my body asking for help. So don't ignore those little signs, or what I call whispers. I'm always working on my gut health, and that's what I hope that you can start doing no matter where you are in your health journey today. Finding balance hasn't been quick, but there are areas that have been game changers for me. So let's talk about those. First, nutrition. I simplified everything and focused on soothing anti-inflammatory foods like bone broth, well-cooked vegetables, ginger and turmeric. I also cut back on processed foods, anything in a bag or a can or a box. I cut back on sugar, cut back on gluten, but didn't completely cut it out. And seed oils, not because these are the trendy things to do, but because this was my gut and what it couldn't handle, that overload that was causing so much trouble. So it's really not hard to do all of this. I know it sounds like a lot when I say cut these things out, but it's not hard to do these things if you're thinking about what you can add instead of what you can take away. I love making bone broth. My whole house smells good when I do it. I do it in the crock pot. I drink it like tea or coffee. It's so soothing. I also then freeze what I can't drink in about a week. I put it in ice cube trays, and I use those frozen cubes for months in rice, in cooked vegetables. You can put it in anything. You really won't even taste it, but it does give that soothing effect to all the foods that you'd be cooking. So I'm adding bone broth to foods every day. Then ginger and turmeric, by the way, they make everything taste better. I buy big ginger roots. I shred it or just cut it up really fine, and I put it in my yogurt and in smoothies. So next, let's talk about supplements. I think this is an important thing to talk about because it can support your healing, but it has to be used. They all have to be used strategically. Probiotics are essential for rebuilding healthy gut bacteria, but not all probiotics are created equal. It's really important to invest in high quality probiotics rather than settling for cheaper store-bought options. So I've included a link to the probiotics I personally use in the show notes today. In addition to probiotics, I also take collagen daily as part of my routine. For a deeper dive into the supplements that I take and those that I recommend, you can check out my gut reset plan at natalietysdal.com/gut reset. And you'll find helpful resources and links there to keep you on track and motivated in your health journey. Let's talk about some lifestyle changes here when it comes to gut health. Maybe the hardest yet impactful area has been my lifestyle. I started slowing down across the board. I've talked about this several times on the podcast in leaving the morning show and finding a different pace in life. That really came across then in the way I eat and my meals. I started chewing food slowly, taking deep breaths before meals. I made rest a priority instead of treating it as just optional, which I think is a way that many of us live our lives today. I've done so many episodes on the importance of sleep. Look back at a few of those if you struggle with sleep issues. I think they really could help you. I also swapped intense workouts for gentle walks and stretches to reduce body strain. Sometimes healing is about doing less with intentional care. Awareness and understanding, I'm going to emphasize this, is key. I had to learn to just slow down and to surrender control. Psalm 147 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." That verse really hits home for me. I'm a busy person. I actually like being busy. And I know many of you are that way as well. Learning to slow down and not put your worth in how much you accomplish in each day, that can be hard for a lot of us who've gotten used to that routine. Healing, I want to mention, isn't linear or simple. It's often in the moments of stillness and surrender that we find the restoration we need, not just in our body, but in our mind and in our heart. So here's my challenge for you this week. Choose one thing to prioritize your gut health. Maybe swap out processed snacks for whole gut-friendly foods like yogurt or berries. Start some type of probiotic. Remember, you can find that online in the supplements that I recommend at natalietysdal.com/resources or at natalietysdal.com/gut reset. Take time to sit quietly. Really chew and appreciate your food. Appreciate what you're eating and think about what you're eating and how it's nourishing your body. Don't eat at your desk. I've been guilty of this because I'm in a hurry all the time. Don't eat in front of the TV because you can't appreciate what you're not thinking about. And if you're just reading on your computer or watching a show, you're not thinking about that food. Small changes build momentum. Momentum leads to healing. If you're ready to take it a step further, that gut reset plan that I mentioned will be your best friend. It's full of easy tips, food swaps, encouragement for your health journey, and it's free. You can download it at natalietysdal.com/gut reset. If today's episode resonates with you, please share it with a friend who might need this message. And don't forget to subscribe because you don't want to miss more conversations just like this one. Take care, friends. Remember, your gut is the foundation of so much more than your digestion. It's the root of your well-being. Thanks for listening today, and I look forward to having you back next week. Thank you for joining the Natalie Tysdal Podcast. You can follow along on Instagram and at natalietysdal.com. Subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave a review so I can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next week.